Hello YouTube. Let's do an update, shall we? 35 weeks. 35 weeks, and let's talk about it, because actually, in reality, I'm not actually 35 weeks yet. I'm a couple days early, but I'm doing this video because I'm here and I have the time. My life situation is getting ready to do some shifting and some changing, and it's all good. It's all cool, but I just couldn't with the makeup anymore today. I just, you know, so I'm close enough to 35 weeks that I feel like I can give a pretty good, pretty solid update. It's funny because I was late with the last one and early with this one, so it's not even been a full week, but it's okay. There's been enough updates that have happened that I can actually give an update. First, let's do a bump date, and my shirt's a little short. And actually, I want to address that as well. But here's the bump date. There's probably not a massive difference between last week and this week in terms of video, because it's not even been a full week, right? Okay, that's the bump. I did want to address a comment that I got. I've had some people request the pre-pregnancy try-on. I've had some requests for that. I had a request. I've had some requests for like the bump, and then I just recently had a comment addressing like if I was gonna do a bare bump update or whatever. Here's the thing. I love the comments. I don't know if I'm gonna have time or whatever for a pre-pregnancy try-on haul or not. And here's why I say that. I found out that I was pregnant. I was early on, and I had my clothes out for the season, but then we changed to summer, and I went and got maternity clothes. So I boxed all my winter stuff up. And like, so essentially what I'm telling you is right now, I don't even really have any pre-pregnancy clothes out much. This is a pre-pregnancy shirt and shorts, and they were kind of big on me. These, like, I would need to tie them and stuff, but they're not too bad. And then this shirt, it was big on me, you know, and I go like that, and like there's a little belly there or whatever, but like I have all this room right here and stuff. This shirt actually was pretty big on me prior to pregnancy. My belly is obviously big. Obviously, it's a pregnant big belly. My doctor's records show that I've only put on 16 pounds, which I don't think is terrible. I was carrying quite a bit more weight at the start of this pregnancy than I would have ever liked to have been carrying, but I was just a heavier weight. I'm hoping and praying I can bounce back a little better from this pregnancy. I know it's hard. I mean, I'm 36. It's my third one. I'm praying about it. Do I have high hopes? I don't have high hopes, but I do have faith. And that's what I think is the thing, because I'm praying about it, because I would really like to bounce back. I'm excited that I've only put on 16 pounds. My record, like my numbers of my scale here at home, I've got a little bit bigger number than that, but it's still under 20. I mean, so I don't think that's too bad. With my oldest daughter, I can't remember if I put on like 35 pounds, which I had preeclampsia. I had a ton of swelling. With my second daughter, it was in the 20s. I can't remember. Either way, where I'm at right now, weight-wise, I'm about 6 pounds away from the total weight that I was when I went in to have my first daughter, and I'm 8 pounds away from the total weight that I was when I went in to have my second daughter. My first daughter, I had preeclampsia and a ton of swelling, but I went early. I was like preterm. My second daughter, I did not have preeclampsia, but I went full term. So weight-wise, actual weight-wise, I'm falling right in that. weight gain wise, according to records, I've put on less weight with this pregnancy, which is good, all things considered, with my age and my, just everything. I'm great with it. 16 pounds, I will take it all day long and just hope and pray that, it's not hard to take it off. My plan is to not get obsessive about the breastfeeding. I may have gotten a little obsessive about the breastfeeding with my second daughter. And let me tell you, I only made it 3 months. My milk dried up and I ate all of those oats and brewer's yeast and like just the drinks and just all the stuff. And I just put on a bunch of calories. I took in a bunch of calories and I put on a bunch of weight and I lost my milk anyway. So, okay, you get it. So anyway, I'm going to try to be more chill. I am going to try it, but you know what I mean. I had myself on a very strict regimen of all of these things, trying to supplement my milk, trying to like bring it in. Anyway, whatever. So I do appreciate all the comments asking for things. I think it's a lot of fun. I really like interacting with you guys. Sometimes I don't always know how to respond because I'm like, I'll be typing something. I'm like, does this sound rude? I feel like this sounds rude. I don't ever mean to be rude at all. I'm pretty body positive for sure. But I err a lot on the side of modesty when it comes to myself, just personally. I don't know, maybe some people think the way I dress is not modest, and that's possible. I do try to be, modest. Like I might wear shorts, I might wear like sleeveless. I try not to do too plunging of necklines much, and I don't ever, like pregnant or not, I don't ever like show my midsection or anything. It's just what I'm comfortable with personally. I think bumps are great. I think they're beautiful. I'm not trying to be funny about it. It's just a personal preference. It's just a personal preference for me. But I do appreciate your commentary. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's cool. So anyway, as far as updating for 35 weeks, symptom wise, here's what I will say. I've noticed an increase in Braxton Hicks. There is an increase in Braxton Hicks. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that. If you've heard my previous birth stories at all, you'll know I did have fairly consistent contractions for 3 weeks leading up to the birth of my second daughter. I try to think back on that time. I know that it was a lot. It was enough that when my husband went to the boat races and I knew he wouldn't really have cell service, I was kind of upset with him. I know that it was fairly consistent. And again, I was refusing to just be on my own. And whenever I went in to be induced, because yes, I was having contractions, but I wasn't like ever going into full-blown labor. So everything I ever heard was Braxton Hicks and false labor. But when I went in to labor and delivery to be induced, they hooked me up to the monitors. And then the nurses went away to get their act together. Whatever it is that they do, they left. And they were getting their stuff so they could come in and give me the stuff to induce me and stuff. They left, and I guess, there's a monitoring system, and they could see that at the nurse's station. They came back, and they said, "Ma'am, do you realize that you're having contractions every 4 minutes?" And I said, "Yeah, sure do, and I have been." So I remember that. I'm having them more often. They're not every 4 minutes, but I am having them fairly often. Today it's let up, which has been nice because I know like over this past weekend, over 4th of July weekend, we had a wonderful, I feel like this update's going to take a minute. Come with me, okay? 4th of July weekend, I just feel like there was a lot a lot of pressure on, oh, my couch is covered in laundry. Let's just go here. None of it's good lighting. Anyway, it was a great weekend, and yeah, I did do a lot of stuff. I tried not to push my body too much, but I probably did, especially Friday. But what I'll say, let me try to do something. But anyway, what I'll say is I definitely, I don't know, I encountered a lot of Braxton Hicks. And I will say, I feel like Saturday night I may have had like false labor. Not false labor to the point that we loaded up and went to labor and delivery, because we didn't. But false labor enough that I was up for like an hour in the middle of the night timing contractions. It ended up going away. And I ended up telling my husband the next day and stuff. But truly, like, I've never had an experience like that that was unique. So that's kind of a new, big, alarming thing. My energy levels are dropping, and how it's working is my energy level as a whole is mostly fine. When I wake up in the morning, I don't feel like waking up at all. I want to stay asleep. But I wake up and I get going and I get things going for the day. And I'll just use today as an example, like, because I feel like today is a prime example of how my body is actually working right now. Got up, got things moving, whatever. Got myself clean this morning. Got ready for the day, got the girls ready. We kind of all ate a little bit of something. We went to the library for story time. We're there for story time. During story time, I sat out in the library and had a phone conversation with my friend because I needed to do that. And so my mom was with me to help with the girls, so there was all that. We ended up, what I'm trying to say is we ended up actually being at the library later than normal. We were leaving at like, say, 11:45. It's pretty late for us. And so then my kids got summer reading like food vouchers. So we went and used those. So we went out to lunch. And we went in the restaurant and everything, and we ate. And then we were leaving there, and my mom needed a couple things. So we stopped, and I sat in the car with the kids. And my mom went into Dollar General to get a couple of things. And I saw the shoe store that was next to Dollar General had like $10 clearance shoes. I really wanted to go up and look at them, but I physically couldn't. I literally told my mom, she got in the car, and I said, I have to go have a rest. Like right now, I have to go have a rest. And my mom was like, if you're struggling like this, and I'm like, I know, because I just said, I know. I said, I'm trying to listen to my body. And I think, here's the thing. I think that everybody in my life is concerned that I will push my body just too hard. I am known to do that. But right now, I'm not. The way that I'm feeling is that I'm close to term, but I'm not actually to term yet. So I personally feel a little bit like I'm in the danger zone of, I better not push my body. If I push my body, I could, I guess, put myself maybe into labor before term, which is not what I want to do. So I'll be taking very large steps back and listening to my body and giving it rest. And sometimes it's not always convenient. Today, I would say wasn't necessarily convenient, but I could definitely make it happen. So we actually went back to my mom's house. And she hung out with the kids. Well, she hung out with my older daughter. And then I took my younger daughter and tried to get her down for a nap. And she never did go to sleep. I was able to doze off for a little while. And then just take it easy. And then I picked back up like for the rest of the day. But I had to have that rest in the middle of the day. I had to. And you just heard what I did. I didn't do much. Most of it was even still just sitting around. But I was like, I can't go on. I literally have to have a rest. So that's what I mean. Like, my energy level is, it's almost just like burrowing down, you know, like I'm just going like, okay. But as far as other symptoms go, it's all still the same. Lots of heartburn. I have, I think, figured out how to exist with my hip situation and not push it and all those kind of things. I am needing to make a chiropractor appointment, but like, I've noticed an improvement in those things, is what I'm saying. I don't know if I should be doing exercises or what, but right now I'm not really. I'm really not. And I'm just praying for a good labor and delivery, that I can even physically make it through, because labor is very labor intensive. And so I'm concerned about that. But at this point in the game, there's nothing I can do about it. Not really. I still have a lot of things to take care of. Like, I still haven't packed my hospital bag. I have to take the car seat. I bought a car seat used. My mom like freaked out. But I know the people and it's in really good shape. But I want to take it all apart and clean it really, really well to make it like totally like new. And I've got some keepsake totes upstairs of the girls. I ordered some vacuum sealer, storage bags tonight. I want to go through and get everything sorted and organized and do all of that to where that's done. And I mostly can call it a day. I can just call it a day. Yeah, to where whatever, we can bring the baby home and it's fine. So more of an update, because I had a doctor's appointment and I had my last ultrasound. I mean, I guess ever in my life for a baby, which is kind of melancholy. I mean, I thought I already had my last one, you know what I mean? And so then I have this one. But let's talk about that. So my doctor's appointment was first. It was good. He measured my belly. We got the heart rate was in the 150s, which I find that funny because I feel like his heart rate is about where my girls were. And you always hear that high of heart rate is always a girl. And it rang true with my girls, but now he's doing the same. And I think that's really interesting. For me, it's interesting. Otherwise, it was all good. I told him about the Braxton Hicks. I told him about my potential false labor. He was not alarmed. He was like, yeah, it's all good. He just said, if you have any concerns, always feel free to come up here and go to labor and delivery and get checked out. It's all fine. And then, so he told me, so the original plan was to start non-stress test at 35 weeks and do 2 times a week. And my husband was not really very pleased with that. So I always say he bullied my doctor. He didn't really bully him, but I don't know, he embarrassed me. But anyway, my doctor then said once a week is fine. You don't have to do twice a week, just do once a week. Okay, so fine, I'm doing once a week. And all of these shifts, these things that are going on in my life that I have to figure out, like logistically and just all these different things. I'm like, okay, and I'm making this calendar and I'm like, okay, this day I can go get a non-stress test and then, whatever. And I'm like playing it all out. Well, I was in there and he said, your next appointment, which will be when I'm 36 weeks. He's like, your next appointment, you'll come in, and he said, it'll be regular appointment. We'll do the Group B swab and, you'll do a non-stress test. And he said, did we talk about that as far as like, did you do that before and stuff? And I said, no. And I said, but you told me this time to start at 35 weeks. He goes, 35, 36. So he doesn't sound as like, because at first he was like, I want you. He said, normally we would start it at 36 weeks. I want you to start at 35. Now he sounds more lax about that. So I'm trying to decide if I just go ahead and go in at 35 weeks. I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, So that was interesting. Okay, so that's really all there was to the doctor's appointment. And then I went and had the ultrasound. Ultrasound was very fun. Ultrasound was very fun this time. He's of course bigger, and it's not any type of like anatomy scan or anything. It was growth scan, so she did want to get like certain measurements. She was able to get all the measurements, thank goodness. So here's a few points. He's head down, thank God. All my other ones, he was breech, and I know it was early and he had time to turn and blah, like I know that, but I was nervous. My grandma had a breech birth, apparently horrendous. It was a different time, and I understand that, but like I just so want things to go smoothly. I was like, please turn, please turn, please turn, and I prayed about it, and I had a feeling he was head down, and I went in and he was head down, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And also where it feels like he is, where it feels like his head is, feels like it's much better positioning than what my second daughter was, which is a huge relief, because I kept telling my doctor over and over, I said, I feel like she's off to the left. I feel like she's off to the left. I feel like she's off to the left. And he swore she wasn't. But regardless, what I do know is that I was feeling something was wrong. And I'm not necessarily feeling that with him, and I'm glad. Because with her, something was wrong. She was definitely not in the right position. Her head, it was all wrong. So I felt pretty good about that. So head down. They measured him, and he was the 46th percentile in weight. What's crazy about that is my girls always measured like so high. Like they were always in like the 80 something percentile, But with him, he was measuring small. Like earlier on, there was a concern because I think it was like 26 percentile or something. And then the next time they measured him once, and he was like the 28th percentile, but then he was the 36th percentile because they measured again. And it's a pretty small margin, but regardless, I'm just excited because there's an uptick there. He's 46th percentile. There's no concerns. Nice, average size baby. Cool. Love it. He's just not measuring as big as his sisters were. I don't know lengthwise or anything, I don't know that. Another point about it was so the tech goes, oh my gosh, he has so much hair. And I'm like, really? And she said, yeah. And like, here's what I will say. I'm interested to see him come out, because in this ultrasound, I saw the most hair that I have seen from all my kids. And, like I've had ultrasound techs say before, oh yeah, there's hair, and all this. But like with this one, she goes, oh my gosh, he's got a ton of hair. And then she got in a good position where I could see it, and I even have a picture of it. You can see the hair, and you could even see it, like, because she took a video, I'll get to that. But anyway, you could see it, like, waving it. You could see it floating and waving in there, which was crazy, right? So, you always hear the heartburn thing, and it's an old wives' tale. I had heartburn with my oldest daughter, but I definitely had heartburn with my oldest daughter, but it was manageable. I was miserable with heartburn the entire time with my second daughter. I was just absolutely miserable, sick with heartburn the whole time, and she came out with a ton of hair. If you look back on this channel, I do an update after I got home, and I'm holding her, and you can see all the hair on her head. And so now I'm wondering if he's going to have as much as she did, or, maybe more or something, because obviously he's got a lot of hair. So I'm interested to see that. We confirmed yet again that it was a boy. What I will say, I'm not going to linger here like too much, but between like that image and then also his nose, I'm wondering if there's some swelling, because I'm like, those things seem kind of exaggerated in these pictures. Like, I'm looking at his nose and I'm like, whose nose does he have? And even my mom goes, so his nose is kind of, I said, wide. It's like, it's kind of wide. Like, it's looks like a fat, wide little nose. And I'm not trying to ridicule him at all, but I thought, whose nose is that? And even my husband's like, whose kid is this? And I'm like, it's yours. It's definitely your kid. But I'm like, is it like smashed? You know, sometimes they're like smashed or whatever, but it didn't really look like it. And so I don't know. But there's another point to this, is that I have I have a lot of amniotic fluid. Now, let me roll back to my second daughter, and then I'll come back to this experience and what all came of it. I learned of a condition, or like whatever you want to call it, of, you know, where you get, there's a name for it and everything, and you get like all this amniotic fluid. And I reflect back on my time of having my second daughter, and I'm like, oh, I had that with Marie. I know I had to have that with Marie because with both my girls, my water broke high. So I had like this slow leak, right? It wasn't like this gush, you know, like what you always hear about or in the movies or whatever. It was like this slow leak. But when the contractions got really intense with Marie and I was laboring naturally, it was crazy. But anyway, a lot of fluid would gush out every time. I would have, like, when I was in that thick of that intense, I felt like I felt like she was coming out. Like there was so much pressure and stuff down there, you know, just all of it. And that was when we discovered she was actually stuck. We had to do something about her being stuck. But every time I was having these like big, profound contractions during that time, it was just coming out. And the nurses kept wanting to change my linens and my gowns. And I'm like, I'm just going to get it all wet again. Like, there's no sense changing it. One more contraction, it's going to all be back this way, because everything was just dripping. It was crazy. I got the epidural. We changed the linens, and I feel like obviously I was getting the bed wet, but it wasn't like these crazy gushes, because then what we were doing is I was using the peanut ball and it was opening my hips, and she was actually coming down. So it changed that dynamic. But then it was weird because it was time for me to push her out, and I probably pushed for 40 minutes or something before the doctor came in, and I'm sure stuff was coming out, but it wasn't anything, again, just crazy. But then whenever the doctor came in and I was pushing, at one point, the water shot out. I mean, it shot out, and got all over the doctor and nurses. I felt really, really bad about it. I was so embarrassed. There was just so much. But after I learned about this, I'm like, oh, I had that with her. I went back and I looked on the reports from my ultrasounds, and all of them said that the amniotic fluid levels were normal. Which I'm like, okay, so I didn't have that condition or whatever. But I went in for this ultrasound, and she's measuring everything, and then she measures the amniotic fluid. And she said, oh, well, the baby moved, and this happened, and that happened, whatever. Let me just remeasure it, because she said, you're measuring very high, and I think he just moved, and it messed with my measurements, and like, let me just remeasure. She remeasured. He didn't move at all. Same levels. She said, you have very high levels of amniotic fluid. She goes, it's no big deal. It's not a threat to you, and it's wonderful for him. He's having a great time in there. He feels like he has all kinds of room. She said, but your doctor will address this with you, because that's pretty high levels of amniotic fluid. The report came back that my amniotic fluid levels were normal. So obviously they're not normal, but the doctor's not worried about it. I guess, because he's not addressing anything about the amniotic fluid levels. So I'm anticipating it being a very wet birth again, just like my last one. My first one wasn't like that. And I had preeclampsia and I had fluid everywhere, but I guess just not in the womb or whatever. But with my last one and with this one, I guess I'm carrying a lot of water in there, or amniotic fluid, whatever. And so finally, what I'll say is what was fun was we were getting the images. She was doing all this measuring and all of that, and we were doing the ultrasound, and it was neat. It's always neat, and it's neat because he's like more developed. Of course, you can see more. Still not loving to get in a great position to where you can get like the real cute pictures. But then she said, let's try this 3D thing. So she's trying to get images and she's having a hard time because of his position. So finally I just looked at her because also I was having a terrible time on my back. I'm like, talk about everything getting smushed. He's laying on all my stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so I look at her and I say, do you want me to like roll over my side? She says, yes. I roll over my side. And she gets some really cute pictures. Really cute pictures. And then she said, let's try 4D. And she got a video and we got him yawning. And it was very cute. They do not allow cell phone usage in there. But she did tell me, she goes, that is the most precious thing that I have recorded all year. And you have to take your phone out and record this video. I will not let you miss that video. So I got it. I got it on my phone and I thought it was so cool. Let me get this picture and see if I can cover up my stuff, and I'll show you the picture of him that I got. Let's see. Let's see if I can do it. See him? See him in there? Cute. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So that was done, and I'm trying to decide. I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and go in and have my first non-stress test next week or not. I might. But the following week, I know for sure when I'll be 36 weeks, I'm getting the non-stress test. I'm getting the Group B swab. I'm getting all the fun things. Regardless, this baby is coming soon. I don't know, obviously, you know, if I think about doing the videos like this with my daughter, and I was just in complete and utter shock towards the end every time that I would do an update video. And I'm like, 38 weeks? I don't know how we're here, but we're here. I haven't rewatched them, but I remember it because I'm like, I'm in utter shock. So this could be like that, to where I genuinely think he's going to come early and I could have to be induced to get me. I have no idea. But essentially, I'm looking at 5 weeks at the most before I have this baby, which is crazy for me to think about. It's really crazy. Very much of this year did not go the way that I wanted it to go, in terms of like us going and doing before this baby comes and all of this. But when I think about what all has actually happened and how fast it's gone, it's amazing to me. And it's only gonna get faster, I guess. But, you know, potentially, like, because term is considered 37 weeks. So potentially anytime after 2 weeks from now, I'll be having this baby. Somewhere between 2 and 5 weeks. Which is really crazy and really cool, really wow, really. I think I touched on it here, but I will no longer be staying alone, really in any capacity. Some during the day, like I said, told my mom, as long as I'm feeling okay, as long as I'm feeling okay and I'm not having any weird feelings or weird signs or symptoms during the day here and there for not crazy long periods of time, but I'll be by myself, so I'm sure. You know, but I said, especially at night, I won't be, by myself at all. Even when my husband's out of town, we have a little bit of a plan of, me staying at my mom's or my mom staying here, which my mom doesn't hardly ever really do. Really pretty much just after I have a baby. But I guess she's going to do that because essentially if I go into labor in the middle of the night, I don't really want to have to wake my kids up. So I could just call my mother-in-law over here because she's prepared to wake up no matter what. Get her over here so the kids don't have to wake up, and then my mom and I could just leave. Or obviously if my husband's home, then we just get my mother-in-law over here and my husband and I just leave and go and get my mom. And I'm saying all this way because that's what I've been preparing for, is my husband traveling. He travels and he comes and goes. And so he's going to be home for some of it. He's going to be gone for some of it. And so we've just been making preparations for that. Not ideal. I know he doesn't want to leave this close to time. But also, essentially, I'm over a month out, technically. You know what I mean? So he could come and go a few times and, whatever. And he can't not do his job. But I know he's nervous about it. And I understand because I'm not nervous about it. It's another reason I'm being very cautious and listening to my body. Because I would rather go when he's home, obviously. I just would. So anyway, that is my 35-week update. I want to thank you for joining me. We'll see what 36 has in store, right? Maybe nothing. Maybe something. Maybe some new developments. Maybe nothing, because maybe I didn't do my non-stress test. Maybe, because I don't have any doctor's appointments this week or anything. So it could be very boring or it could be interesting. We'll find out together. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.